Hey folks, Fernando doing another video for the more survivalists, and in this case analyzing a video from Brazil where a off-duty cop is intercepted by a couple robbers in another motorcycle. Yes, for those of you wondering, that is my Colt Python 357 Magnum. That's a little Mickey Mouse figure thing. Anyway, let's get to this. First we watch it and then let's comment. We see there on the left, the cop is right there, and these are the attackers. Point a gun at him, stop the motorcycle, he stops, and he gets out of the motorcycle, raises his hands, he goes behind that tree or post for cover. Stop, police! There they raise the gun pointing at him, they start shooting at one another, and he stops one and then the other right there. And that's what we see in this clip. Right? He's still in the fight. He's looking around, looking for whoever is there. And guys, if you're interested in learning this kind of stuff, how to defend yourself with a gun, it's not about target shooting. If you want to learn about fighting with a gun, home defense, personal defense, you have a lot of that information in Street Survival Skills, my book, which is dedicated to these topics, available in Amazon, following the links below there in the description. Yes, most of the things you see here, I explain how to do in my book. So he's still very much in the fight. He has adrenaline pumping, and he's waiting for cops to show up. He doesn't know if bad guys will show up at any minute and shoot him. And then cops do show up. He raises his hand. He does have his gun in the other hand, and that's basically it. Now, important lessons. Let's start with the more obvious one, which is don't ride motorcycles. I don't know why it is. Cops usually love motorcycles, military guys as well. In general, if you're a cop or military, good chance that you like motorcycles. I'm a little bit more pragmatic. I think that a car is a lot better option, especially if it's an SUV or a truck. You have the ability of, whenever something like this happens, and something that I do explain also in Street Survival Skill is how you can actually use a car to get rid of people like that are about to shoot you. It's actually quite effective. Yes, I know what I'm talking about because these are things that I've gone through myself. So the car is a lot better. I mean, come on. I get it. I laugh because I don't get the fascination of cops and fucking motorcycles all the time. I mean, I understand that they like it, but anyway, from a tactical, practical aspect, when you're in a vehicle, especially a little bit of a larger car and a little bit more, horsepower in that engine, boom, you just get rid of these guys like flies, and it's super effective. In this case, not so much. Anyway, but life is short. Do whatever it is that you like. Anyway, the moment he has a gun shoved to his face, he does the right thing. And again, this is not about criticizing anyone. We're analyzing from the comfort of our homes, a high-stress situation that we're not involved in. Always very easy to do, not so easy to perform in the middle of the fight. But he does the right thing. When you have a gun pointed at your face, and I actually explain in my book, and there are techniques that do work in terms of you grab, you shoot, you pull the gun away from your face. It has been done successfully before. In general, what you want to do is what you see here. Take the freaking keys, take my wallet, take my cell phone, take my motorcycle. Really, not worth. That's obviously what you want the most. I'm not willing to risk my life over that. It's probably insured, so what the hell? Give it up. That's it. That's what he does, right? He gets out of the motorcycle, and he even does this. There you go. I mean, you want it. You pointed a gun at my face. This is what you want. Take it. This is the moment, guys, where you have to understand the huge difference. Depending on where you live, depending on the political environment that you are in, whatever state, whatever city, the prosecutor, the judge, depending on the people that end up in a jury deciding your fate, this is the moment where you either have to just keep on walking and just let it go, or if you are a cop, you may have an obligation to do something about it. This is up to you to decide. And whatever you decide, it may end up coming back to bite you in the ass later. Just make sure you know your local laws and what you're able to do or not. I can tell you right now, in many parts of the world, this is the moment where, legally speaking, you're not allowed anymore to engage, to use lethal force. You're allowed to just keep on walking and let it go. Now, if you're a police officer, and in certain parts of the world, as a police officer, you have the obligation to act when you see an ongoing crime. You may know your local laws, and you should. This is the moment where he says, you know what? I'm going behind cover. Lesson number 2 or number 3, whatever the lesson this is. Give up the motorcycle. It's not worth your life. But if you as an officer, you have the obligation to say, stop, police. That's what he does. But he does it once he's behind cover. One of the many things I explain in street survival skills is it's not everything the same. A street sign, plastic, that's not cover. Metal signs, trash cans, that's not cover either. People think that's because it's metal is going to be stopping bullets. No, metal like that is usually very thin and it won't stop any kind of round. So a tree or like a cement post like this or a column from a building, yes, this does provide cover. This is what he uses. So from there he probably says stop police. The moment he says that, they raise a gun and point it at him. I don't know if they're shooting or not. Doesn't matter. The moment they point the gun at him, that's the green light for you to use lethal force after you identify yourself as a police officer, especially in Brazil, especially right now with the current president and the current political stand in these kind of issues. So they start, they pointed the gun at him. Now they try to get out on their bikes, whatever. One of these tries to point the gun again, but he starts shooting already, and he is behind cover. It's not ideal. It rarely is. Ideally, what you want to do when using cover is expose nothing. This. An eye and a gun. That's all you want to expose. That's all you really need to aim and shoot. But in the middle of the fight, he's still using cover, which is great. He's not using it, to the maximum efficiency, which, you rarely ever do. He's using more of a traditional isosceles stance, which is going to be helping him put those rounds where it matters. Remember, it's not about how many rounds you fire. It's about how many shots you land. It's not about shooting. It's about landing rounds on the target. And he does that. He shoots this one, and then he takes, this is a nice, very nice stance, like slightly bending the knees. Very good position. Very well trained, that officer right there. And the angle, though, doesn't look like he's making that great use of the cover he has. But at this angle, it's probably a lot better. So good for him. So he shoots. He stops these, and he's still wondering, where is the next guy coming from? One of the things you learn when you take classes and you learn proper firearms defensive shooting training is it's not the end right this moment. This is where you start looking for his friends. So you still look around. You don't want to holster your gun right away. You look for any accomplice, any friend. And as time goes by, because some time does go by, you don't know if the word gets around the street, if a family member, a brother or someone from his group shows up and shoots at you. So you still have to look what he's doing. What is he doing? He's walking backwards. He's looking to cover as much of his back as he can with this building. That's smart. That's clever, right? So he's trying to cover his back as best as he can, and while looking around. Now, the thing he doesn't do so well is when cops show up, he is still with his hand, right? He's still doing the job of an officer, right? He's moving around cars, someone shows up, and this is the moment where you really want to do something else. He sees the cops, and he raises his hand, but he's still holding the gun. That is never a good idea. My advice is the moment you see, keep your gun by all means until you see the cops. Now, once you see the cops that are very close, don't wait until they get out of the car because they may end up shooting you right away. They see dead people around you. They see you with a gun. An officer that's a little bit more nervous, someone that's a little bit, not as well trained, or someone that's whatever thing goes on. You don't want to be the guy holding a gun when cops show up and there's dead people around you. What you want to do is, as soon as you see the officer on foot closing in, as soon as you see the vehicle, the patrol car closing in, you just put the gun in the floor and you raise your hands. Yes, yeah, this is what happened. Even if you're an officer, even if you're a cop, you're dressed like any other normal person. So they don't know that. You just don't know who just showed up in that vehicle. Yes, this is what happened. And yes, you identify yourself, right? I wouldn't even have my wallet with my ID. Just in case they confuse that with a gun, even if I'm a cop, I would just show empty hands to the other officers. And then when I communicate, yeah, sure, you show your badge or whatever the hell you have. But first, the first thing you want them to see is this. Okay, guys, that's it for this video. I think there's some valuable stuff here. It's really not worth your life. If you have to give up your car keys, your cell phone, and, even the legal hassle of dealing with this. For cops in certain parts of the world, it may not be as bad, depending on the kind of how much they have their back, but in general, for your typical law-abiding citizen, this would be the moment that you very much may end up landed in jail if you decided to shoot when the fight was already over and your life was really not at risk anymore. This could be very bad for you. Now, as a law enforcement officer, you may have the obligation to identify yourself and stop these attackers. Folks, it's going to be all for now. See you in the next video. Take care.